Welcome back for a new sales history list. And I thought since it's October that since unfortunately I already did Silent Hill, this is the sales history of the Devil May Cry franchise. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm working on a couple of new sales histories in the future. One of them is the sales history of Halo. But let's get to it. Enjoy the music in the background. Dante's theme from MVCI. So first up, Devil May Cry, of course, started. The original game first came out in 2001. In the end, of course, it was released as a PS2 exclusive, same with the other two. And that is also, it got among critics a 9.1 score. That's definitely a good way to start off a franchise with a 9.1 overall score among game critics. Very good job. It would end up being a very successful first installment to the franchise. The original Devil May Cry would end up selling 2,160,000 copies. Pretty impressive for a debut game. Not too many games can say that, but it's because the addictive gameplay and the fun overall, over the top, boss battles and everything, I feel is what really gravitated people like myself to the Devil May Cry series. Next, we have, of course, we would see in 2005, 4 years later, on the PS2, the release of Devil May Cry 2. It is definitely the weakest in the series, but personally, I don't hate it as much as some people out there. I think it has maybe the best designed Dante, at least in the series, or rather, at least his costume, anyways. I don't think it's bad by any means. I mean, I actually enjoy the combat and some of the boss battles. But when you're going up against other games in the franchise, yeah. But it ended up, even though it would definitely see a massive drop, or sorry, 2003, I meant to say. I got confused with Devil May Cry 3. But unfortunately, its critic score, on the other hand, would be a huge drop. Um, Devil May Cry 2's critic score was only a 6.5 versus the first one of a 9.1. That's a heck of a drop. It would end up selling around 1,700,000. Though that is a drop, give or take, you're looking at close to a half a million drop in sales. That's a very big drop, but still, regardless, 1.7 million is still pretty successful in my book in sales numbers. It's still not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. At least not a humongous drop of like half of the first one. But then in 2005, we would get the sequel, Devil May Cry 3, which, in most people's opinions, is the best Devil May Cry game. Personally, for me, I actually think I like Devil May Cry 5 the most out of the franchise. Um, Now, among the original version of the game, it got an 8.6. Then later we get special edition with a little bit lower drop in difficulty. That version would actually get a little bit higher. Original 8.6, which is still great, and then the other version, special, would get a 8.8, which is definitely very good. And its sales definitely spiked up, and Devil May Cry 3 would end up selling better than the first game. So that's good. The franchise was back in an upswing in sales. In total, it ended up selling around 2,300,000 copies. So that's definitely a very good job. Then we would see released in 2008, 3 years later, released for the PS3, 360, PC, and also then later would get improved versions also on the Xbox One and PS4. That being, of course, Devil May Cry 4. The original version, first release, got a critic score of an 8.2. Down a little, but not a lot. still very positive overall. The game would end up going on to sell around 4 million copies, making Devil May Cry 4 the best selling of the franchise so far. So definitely it did a very good job there, being the best in overall sales numbers. Then we would get, in many people's opinions, the worst in the series. Personally, I have a soft spot for DMC Devil May Cry that Ninja Theory did. I actually enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the combat system. Yeah, there was certain stuff I didn't like, but I personally really liked the boss fights in the game. And I also really enjoyed the add-on, like the Virgil story in the Netherworld. I personally really like the game. I know I feel it's very overhated and it does not deserve as much hate as it gets. But sadly, that's the problem with some of the old school fans. But the fact is, I played the older DMC games, so I will never understand why this game gets so much hate. Um, it would get released on PC, PS3, 360, PS4, Xbox One. Its average score, it got actually around a 7.5, which is not a humongous drop. It got an overall about a 1 point higher score than DMC2. Or Devil May Cry 2, I guess I should say. Now, keep in mind these sales numbers are based on strictly physical sales and does not include digital. And with that said, DMC Devil May Cry was, of course, released in 2013. It would end up selling very well. Believe it or not, it is the third best-selling game in the franchise, believe it or not. It ended up selling to physical only, not including digital, keep in mind. It sold 2,720,000 copies. So over 2.7 million copies sold. So it outsold the original 3 Devil May Cry games. So that's interesting. But then again, to be fair, it also was on multiple platforms. So that also gave it one advantage as well. Now, if you could include digital sales, it's hard to say what the numbers would be. But then we would get the final installment in the Devil May Cry series. And this game would end up being released on the PC, Xbox One, and PS4 only, on current gen, of course. The Xbox One version got a critic score of a 9.2, while the PS4 version actually got a score of a 9.5. It was, personally for me, Devil May Cry 5 was my favorite game of 2019. Easily. Not much really came close for me, personally. With that said, Devil May Cry 5, strictly physical sales numbers, it has now sold, most estimates are showing it right around 3 million copies physical has sold. So, on physical sales alone, it's the second best selling of the franchise, though, given how many people bought the game digitally. I would say it probably sold over 4 million copies. I wouldn't be surprised if you could find digital sales numbers. It probably ended up the best selling of the franchise, but in physical sales, it's in second place. But with that said, that is the sales history of the Devil May Cry series. Stay tuned in the near future for a few more sales histories I've been working on. I've been working on Mortal Kombat sales history, working on a Halo sales history, also been working on the Kingdom Hearts sales history. Stay tuned for those in the near future, off and on, which I'm doing one of these per month. So it's gonna be random when in the month it is, but I try to usually get this done in the first 2 weeks of every month. So with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this. Leave a comment below. Tell me what your personal thoughts are and what you think about the sales numbers. Obviously, the Devil May Cry series, for the most part, is pretty strong in sales numbers. And give me ideas for future sales history lists. What game franchise would you like me to look into? Also, I'm gonna leave this up to a vote for you all. Would you like me to try and put together like a little bit of a Valve sales history, which means look up sales history of like games, different games involving Valve, like Portal, Half-Life, and Left 4 Dead. But that's up to you to decide, and I'll see y'all next time. Stay safe and have a good Halloween season and good rest of October. See you next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.